What if I told you there's a sacred part of yourself you've been trying to destroy your entire life? A beast you keep chained in the dungeon of your soul. You starve it, you ignore it, you pretend it's not there, but it's not going anywhere. In fact, it is secretly running your life, yanking the strings of your emotions, seizing control of your choices, and turning your relationships to poison. In this video, we are not going to slay that monster. You and I are going to unlock the door, sit with it, and learn its true name. Because facing this divine beast is the only way to reclaim its power and become who you were always meant to be. Do you ever feel like you're at war with yourself? There's the you that you show the world, agreeable, capable, and good. And then there's that other force, the one that explodes in a flash of rage you never saw coming, the one that whispers soul-crushing doubts just as you're about to achieve something great, the one that feels a bitter sting of envy when a friend shares wonderful news. You crush it down, you burn with shame, and you swear, "That's not me." You try so hard to be the light, but you can still feel the darkness gathering at the edges.
This internal war is a known psychological phenomenon. The legendary Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung gave it a name, the shadow. The shadow is the part of our unconscious mind that becomes a container for everything we repress. It is, in Jung's own words, the thing a person has no wish to be.
Also described as that hidden, repressed, for the most part inferior and guilt-laden personality. This includes our most primitive instincts, our deepest fears, our insecurities, and our so-called unacceptable desires. But the shadow is not merely a bin for your negative traits. It can also hold magnificent positive qualities you were taught to hide, like fierce ambition, raw assertiveness, or your untamed creative spirit.
So how is this inner monster born? It begins when you are a child. You learn very quickly which parts of you earn praise and which earn punishment. Be quiet, share your toys, be nice. You are corrected when you're too much, too loud, too selfish, too angry. To get the love and safety you need to survive, you begin to disown the parts of you that are met with disapproval. But these exiled parts don't vanish. They are shoved into the darkness of your unconscious, where they grow into your shadow. You then construct a conscious personality, a polite mask for the world.
Jung called this mask the persona. It's the role you play for society. But behind that mask, the shadow festers, holding all the parts of you that you have refused to acknowledge. And the more you ignore it, the denser and more powerful it becomes.
Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate.
So what happens when you pretend the monster in your dungeon doesn't exist? It doesn't just wait quietly. It begins to shake the foundations of your entire life. The more you deny your shadow, the more destructively it erupts. You can spend a lifetime pretending you don't feel certain things, but sooner or later, everything you bottled up will boil over. One of the most insidious ways your shadow takes control is through projection. This is when you begin to see the very traits you deny in yourself in everyone around you.
Jung stated this perfectly. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. That immediate, irrational hatred you feel for someone you just met, that intense disgust you have for someone you see as arrogant, lazy, or foolish, that is a soul-level red flag. You are likely projecting a disowned piece of your own shadow. A person who has suppressed their own ambition will be driven mad by the sight of someone else's success. You see in them what you cannot bear to see in yourself.
Another devastating consequence of an ignored shadow is self-sabotage. This is when your unconscious mind actively destroys the things you consciously want. Do you procrastinate on the one project that could change your life? Do you start fights in a loving, healthy relationship? Do you choke during that critical moment? That is your shadow fighting for attention.
As Jung described it, a person possessed by their shadow is always standing in his own light and falling into his own traps. If you were taught that your power was dangerous, your shadow might help you fail that exam or miss that deadline, all to keep you safe from a promotion. The shadow, when denied a healthy outlet, will find a way to be heard, even if it has to burn your world to the ground.
That which we do not bring to consciousness appears in our lives as fate.
This inner war leaves you with a gnawing feeling of being a fraud.
That's a lie!
When you deny half of what you are, you can never feel whole. You live with a constant, humming anxiety that something is deeply wrong, that something is missing. This doesn't just cripple you, it makes true connection impossible. How can anyone truly know you when you're hiding half of yourself from them? The monster you ignore doesn't just haunt you, it controls you from the darkness, silently wrecking your life until you have no choice but to face it. If ignoring the beast is so catastrophic, what are you meant to do? Slay it? Banish it? The answer is the entire secret to this mystical work. No. The goal is not elimination, but integration. You must turn around, face the monster, and embrace it as a sacred part of your whole self. This journey is what we call shadow work. I know this path intimately because it's the one I had to walk to become the healer I am today. For years, I endured profound psychological violence and abuse. To survive, I had to become good, harmless, quiet, accommodating. I packed away my anger, my power, and my right to say no into a deep, dark box. I thought I had gotten rid of it, but that buried monster, my shadow, began to poison my life from the inside, causing me to self-sabotage and see threats everywhere. It wasn't until I hit rock bottom that I realized the violence I suffered had taught me to do violence to myself. My healing began the day I stopped trying to kill the monster and instead asked it why it was so full of rage. It was a wounded part of me, trying to protect me in the only way it knew how. Facing it was terrifying, but in its darkness I found my disowned strength, my courage, and my voice. That is the point of this work, to harmonize the warring forces within you, so you can become balanced and whole. This requires immense courage. It means you must admit that the dark, messy, unacceptable parts of you are real. And that is the first step toward any true power. So what does this look like in practice? It begins with a radical shift in your perception. Instead of judging your bad thoughts, you get curious. When you feel that fire of jealousy, instead of shaming yourself, you must ask, what are you trying to show me? What insecurity are you pointing to? What desire is buried beneath this fire? Your soul speaks in the language of emotions and symbols, not logic. Shadow work is about following that trail of emotion back to its sacred source. This is not a permission slip to let your rage or greed run wild. It is about acknowledging their existence within you. Integration means you become aware of these primal urges, you understand their origin, and then you, your conscious self, get to decide how to act. You don't let the monster drive the car, but you don't keep it bound and gagged in the trunk either. You invite it into the passenger seat, you listen to what it has to say, and then you consciously choose where to steer. That is true sovereignty.
This is the path to what's called individuation. the integration of the conscious with the personal and collective unconscious, leading to the development of a unique, indivisible whole. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes.
Before we dive into the sacred practices, just pause and take a breath. If this is awakening something in you, subscribe and join this tribe of explorers. This path of self-discovery is a profound journey, and we will walk more of it together. And if you feel the courage, share one part of your monster you are beginning to recognize in the comments. Your honesty might be the lantern someone else needs to start their own journey. Confronting the monster is the first gate, but how do you actually integrate it? How do you take that raw, chaotic energy from your shadow and alchemize it into strength? This is not just an idea. It requires real daily rituals. Here are 4 powerful practices to begin your journey of integration. First, you must become a detective of your own heart. Pay fierce attention to what triggers you. When you have a massive, disproportionate emotional explosion over something small, that is your shadow waving a flag.
Remember, the mirror technique is a powerful tool. The things that drive you mad about other people are signposts to your own disowned self. The next time someone's behavior makes your blood boil, pause. Ask yourself, what is this feeling precisely? Disgust, rage, envy? And why is this specific thing so activating for me? Is it possible that what I see in them is something I have buried in myself? This requires humility, but it is the most direct path to seeing your shadow in the wild.
Second, begin the ritual of journaling. This is not a Dear Diary exercise. This is a direct conversation with your shadow. Use sacred prompts. Ask yourself, what traits do I despise in others that might be a hidden part of me? Or what am I terrified of people discovering about me? You can also try a powerful technique. Write a question to your shadow with your dominant hand. Then switch the pen to your non-dominant hand and let it answer. The raw, unfiltered writing from your other hand can often bypass your conscious mind and allow the shadow's voice to emerge. The wisdom and pain that surfaces may shock you. Third, you must learn to speak the language of your dreams. Your dreams are a direct portal to your unconscious. While you sleep, your ego rests, and the shadow emerges through symbols and stories. Keep a dream journal by your bed. Write down everything you remember, no matter how bizarre. Look for recurring figures, feelings, or scenarios. Is there a monster that pursues you? That is likely your shadow, appearing to you directly.
Using a Jungian technique called active imagination, you can, in a waking meditative state, re-enter the dream and choose to face that monster. Ask it what it wants from you. Its answer may reveal a core fear or a hidden power.
This is a crucial method for dialogue with the unconscious. The purpose of active imagination is to give a voice to sides of the personality, particularly the shadow, that are normally not heard, thereby establishing a line of communication between consciousness and the unconscious. You can also give your shadow form through art, music, or dance, expressing what feels formless.
Fourth, consciously practice the opposite of your persona. Identify the mask you wear. Are you always the helper, the strong, silent one, the eternal peacemaker? These roles are built to hide the exact opposite quality in your shadow. If you are relentlessly accommodating, you have likely suppressed a volcano of righteous anger. The practice here is to find safe, constructive ways to embody that hidden trait. This doesn't mean you become a monster. It means learning to set one firm boundary. It means allowing yourself to say no without guilt. It might mean simply admitting to yourself, this situation makes me angry. By taking these small conscious steps, you create balance and teach yourself that these hidden parts are not sources of shame, but sources of incredible power. So what happens when you do this sacred work? What is the reward for facing the beast? The reward isn't that the monster is gone. The reward is that the monster becomes your ally.
Hello there.
When you integrate your shadow, you reclaim vast reserves of energy you were wasting to keep it locked down. This unleashes a profound sense of wholeness and vitality. One of the first things you will notice is a surge of unshakable self-confidence. So much of your insecurity comes from the fear of being found out, the fear that others will see the parts of you that you deem unacceptable. When you have faced those parts and accepted them, that fear evaporates. You become okay with your magnificent, messy humanity. You are no longer defending a fragile mask. You are simply you. This is the foundation of an authentic life. Your relationships will also be reborn. When you understand and accept your own darkness, you develop an infinite capacity for compassion for others. You are less triggered by their flaws because you recognize the same flaws in yourself. This allows for deeper, more honest connections, built on real understanding instead of unconscious projections. And perhaps most magically, integrating your shadow unlocks a fountain of creativity and personal power. Your shadow holds your raw, primal life force. Repressed, it is destructive. Integrated, that same energy becomes fuel. The aggression you disowned becomes the assertive drive to build your dream. The forbidden sensuality becomes the creative passion that fuels your art. You will learn that being a good person is not about being harmless. It's about being capable of being a monster, but having that monster on a leash, under your conscious command, and choosing to do good. That is where true power and self-respect are forged.
This is the embodiment of wholeness. There is no light without shadow and no psychic wholeness without imperfection. This is the ultimate aim of the work. It's called individuation. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become.
The quest into the shadow is the archetypal hero's journey. It is the courageous descent into your own underworld to retrieve a lost treasure. And that treasure is your own wholeness. The monster you've ignored is not your enemy. It's a wounded, powerful, and divine part of you that has been desperate to be seen. It holds the key to the very power and vitality you feel is missing from your life. This is not a task you complete once. It is a lifelong path of radical self-honesty. It begins with the simple acknowledgement that the monster is there.
Hello there.
It continues with the choice to listen to what it has to say, and it culminates in weaving its magnificent strength into the fabric of your life. By doing this, you stop being a house divided against itself. You become a unified, authentic, and truly powerful being. You don't destroy the monster. You learn to dance with it. And in that sacred dance, you finally become your complete self.
There is no coming to consciousness without pain. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, in order to avoid facing their own soul.
Thank you for walking this sacred path with me. If this journey has sparked a light in you, please like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the human soul. And now, I want to hear from you, my fellow travelers. In the comments below, share one insight you've gained about your own shadow. Let's make this a space for our collective courage. Stay lit.